Today we're going to hear from Jon about a story covering the New York, Missouri governor, whose name he promised he would never forget and then forgot for this bit. So anyway, it's today's Not So Critical update.
I did not forget when Mike was like, what was his name? I was like, it was definitely like Mike something.
Half a name when the first half is the most common men's name in the country doesn't count.
His name is Mike and his last name is Piece of Shit Arson, also known as the governor of Missouri. Anyway, the Department of Justice says
this story's not even about, by the way.
Not at all, but it is relevant. It will no longer prosecute good faith hackers under Computer Intrusion Act or whatever the CFAA is. I forget.
Computer Fraud and Abuse Act.
That's the one. So
A and CFAA stand for and.
Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. Abuse Act. AA.
Yeah, Abuse Act.
CFAA.
It should be.
It's not the CFAA.
Triple A.
We'll edit that.
So
no, that's staying in.
This is, it's a very controversial act. It was made in the early 1990s, and it's been abused by a lot of judges.
Technology has changed since that. It was 1986.
Wow, yeah,
predates the modern.
Technology has definitely changed. The reason this is really good news is one. Random journalists who stumble upon base 64 encoded social security numbers on the front end of a fucking government website won't get just not completely. Yeah.
But that's even beyond what should have been covered under the CFAA. I don't even think that was the claim. Like,
well, the CFAA was actually not relevant with this case. This was local Missouri computer intrusion law. That it was the computer manipulation part, that data manipulation that the journalist did.
I actually kind of wish that had gone to court.
I don't, but I do, because I don't want him to have to go through that. But
no,
also,
absolutely not. But I would like to have seen an actual decision on that, because now they left the door open. They made that bullshit claim, and now it's just kind of floating out there for somebody else to try it whenever they feel like it.
Yeah. So. But the reason it's really good news as well is because it lets good guys do things that they've previously not been able to do.
Researchers, for example.
Why hack someone who's doing something in good faith? I mean, why?
Well, I'll give you an example, Peter. A random model of a router that is commonly used is, on the router has a critical vulnerability, and like 300,000 homes are using it. Now you can just send out a mass, you can root it or whatever, let's say, then you can just patch it, or you can access the router, you can patch it. Like, good faith, things that will be better.
That's an interesting case.
My point is, it's a good thing because it's in the title. People who are acting good faith shouldn't get punished for it.
Oh, that's the one. Oh, maybe I misunderstood you. Yeah, agreed. 100%. It's like
really simple as far as I'm concerned. Don't be a dick, government.
Right. Yeah.
That's it.
It's like, duh.
But it does, like, to your example, Jon, I mean, there is a case where you could say, like, oh, I hacked this company because I legitimately wanted, as in good faith, to make their product better. Even if it's against their wishes, like, that's not covered here.
No. But that's not what we're talking about, I don't think. What we're talking about.
I look at it as applying more to researchers, probably, than researchers and academics.
That is what it is for research. It is so that they don't get wrongly prosecuted researching things, like whatever it might be. It's definitely a good story for once, and it is a positive story. And it actually promotes a healthy, modern take for once from the United States government.
And it's specifically for researchers. It doesn't put off people who more than once when I've been looking into websites, I've come across an open admin page to something quite critical, and I haven't contacted. Maybe once or twice I've tried like admin or admin password as the username and password and gotten into someone's home computer. I do it almost instinctively, just for work, and then
Just out of
I'm
curiosity.
like,
That's intrusion.
really? It is intrusion. Technically, I'm breaking the law, and I'm glad I don't live in America because I may have, I may come to America at some point. I have never done this
to something now, Peter.
This is all hypothetical, by the way.
All hypothetical. Yeah. If I were to have done that, though, that would have made me a criminal, which I but what I would like to do is contact the owner of this router and say, hey, by the way, you left your router open. It's really bad, or change their Wi-Fi
say,
network.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. And
or you would say, you hacked me.
Yeah. If I had done that, if I had done that after, a hypothetical, well, how many, I don't know how to, the words are getting too complicated, but basically people are put off from doing good things because they're worried about getting sued.
The risk. Peter, I remember I talked to you about this, 6 months ago? I was browsing Shodan, and I found a Belgian ISP's admin dashboard showing all customers, all data, all IPs, locations, addresses, open to the web. Open to the web. What do I do? Do I reach out to them? Do I risk the wrath of such a large company? No, they can figure it out.
There's too much risk to you personally that fixing this terrible thing is just not worth it.
Not worth it. It's not worth it.
Or they actually get ransomware because
it's one of the two. And let me tell you, everything was there. I mean, everything in terms of a GDPR compliance standpoint. This was a nightmare. Oh my God, not good. Really, just not great. And it was available without credentials. I didn't hack anyone. I didn't do anything. All you had to do was just punch in the URL and you're there. It was insane. It wasn't a URL, it was an IP, but still, you get what I'm saying. Right? Is an IP a URL? No.
Protocol kind of it. But anyway,
DOJ good for once.
We've been recording for 4 hours today, I think.
Yeah, we're
kind of running.
So anyway, one of the questions I wanted to ask Jon from earlier, which didn't make it into his interview, which perhaps we could just shove in at the end here.
Sure. Do whatever we want.
It's our show.
Yeah, screw the people who might be watching it and actually interested in something. Anyway, follow up. Jon, what advice would you give to 15-year-old Jaco Hizzle, aside from stay away from DJ names?
That was kind of forced on him by bad company.
No, he was like, I please call me that. He was begging me to. He suggested it to me. He was like, listen, I'll come on, but only if you call me Jaco Hizzle, DJ Jaco Hizzle. Please.
That's right. It was in his rider.
That's exactly how it went. Advice to 15-year-old me would be start coding now, you idiot.
Okay, interesting.
I played around with stuff that I found interesting and edgy. But I did not sit down and learn C at 15. And that would have been really beneficial at that age. And for future me. I think I would have enjoyed it a lot instead of trying to cheat in video games,
Yeah, fair. Mike, what advice would you give 15-year-old DJ?
Oh man. Maybe just because it's on my mind from before, but I remember I don't think this is what I would ultimately settle on, but I do remember first hearing about Bitcoin and how easy it was at that time to start mining, and how everybody had all these Bitcoins and nobody knew what to do with them. So people would buy pizza with them and all that. I wish I would have had the future knowledge to just set up a computer and let it run, have some Bitcoin. But I never
2
would have.
weeks. You know, it's funny because 2 weeks of letting your shitty Intel Pentium run,
Yeah.
you're sitting on hundreds of coins.
Yeah.
I don't have much. See, a lot of people have that similar regret, and I don't ever really get that upset because I feel like for all the Bitcoins that I didn't invest in, there were 1,000 other things which I also didn't invest in and didn't work out. So
Sure,
I got an even better one, Peter. I got an even better one for you. So what Mike just said specifically was a very small. He threw it in there, but it was that he had the future knowledge.
Yeah, the foresight,
which none of these hundreds, thousands of people did. So when Bitcoin hit $10, this was crazy.
Yeah,
they just made $2,000 off of their 3,000 Bitcoin or whatever. Yeah. Of course, they're going to sell. This
cashed
is
out. Woo!
They're cashed out. They made a bunch of money. Then now that Bitcoin's worth like $50 million. So the people who sat on these coins for 12 years. It's a dozen of them. No, not really, but not many.
Yeah. And I don't think that's really what I would like. That's not probably the main thing I would go tell my 15-year-old self, but
no,
that would take, I don't know. I was afraid of a lot of shit back then. Probably try and help myself deal with some of that more. But how do we get out of this? Where's my ripcord here? Yep, just end on uncomfortable silence.
Discord, join it.
Fuck Facebook. I don't know.
Fuck Facebook always.